All right, here we are. When the can cracks, time to get the business. All right, I'm Jason Colenso. Tonight, we are indulging in a little bit of liquid death, cherry obituary. I love the extra branding. I absolutely, in honor of Riot Fest for next weekend when I go, I felt, nice and heavy metal-ish. Let's rock this out. Delicious stuff.
Got a little Athletic Brewing, NA It's a great brand. I do like some others like Go Brewing, and yeah, there's a lot of options out there. Happy to be.
Are you IPAs all the way kind of guy?
Not necessarily. I like the light beer too. Athletic has some good options. I like the like Mexican lagers. Those are pretty good. Put a little lime in there. It's kind of like a Corona. But yeah, there's so many different options out there that, yeah, I feel like I'm drinking real beer. So it's nice.
Yep. No, that's awesome, man. Excellent. Did you share the video, by the way, as we're going?
Yep, sharing it right now.
We are good. Awesome. Cool, man. All right. So let's Jerry will be joining us shortly. He's on a call. He'll be joining us here in a couple minutes. So tonight's episode, we're kind of all right. Speaking of the devil, Jerry has arrived. Let me add him to the stage. Hey, there he is. Jerry has arrived. What's the can? What do we got?
A&W root beer, baby. Diet.
Yes. Diet A&W, an IPA, and Liquid Death. Or an NA IPA and Liquid Death. I love it. Good trio. All right. So Jerry didn't really miss much. We just got going. Nutrition is the kind of the hot seat tonight. So we've gotten some questions over the last couple days of us posting, so which has been awesome. Thank you all for some of the contributions. We got some good topics to touch on here. So I think the one that I kind of wanted to start with, that I guess I'll get the ball rolling here, was one on Jerry's post from Jay Pendleton to break down what is kind of the difference between time restricted versus type restricted versus calorie restricted. So I really actually like this question because they kind of all tie in. And I kind of, the way that I like to see how this is, the time restricted, I'd like to see it as more like an actual system is in place. So you're putting together a specific order, time frame, specifically like intermittent fasting. So I feel like that's a system approach. The type is kind of like an ideology, and I know that we'll discuss this in a bit. I feel that diets tend to have a lot of personal influence, whether it's cultural, whether it's family, whether it's some sort of like influence on like the diet type and the diet style that people tend to go down. So I like to think of that as an ideology, and calorie restricted, quite literally, I feel like is biology. We're looking at the energy systems of the body. We are looking at chemistry as well, science. Really some chemical reactions. What do we need to do for our energy balance to maintain a specific weight, and how do we achieve that number on a consistent basis? I'll throw it to you guys. Time restricted, type restricted, calorie restricted. If someone asks you about diet, what do you guys feel like is a good lead in?
So my opinion on it is, if it's a diet that the goal is to, like where I come from, the goal isn't always to lose weight. So sometimes I'll talk about diet as in trying to hit more calories if my training block is trying to gain weight.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, dieting meaning trying to lose weight, if it's working, they're all calorically restrictive. There's thermodynamics at play. So time restricted eating is a sometimes effective cheat to get into a caloric restricted state. The idea being, if you skip breakfast, you eat in a small window during the day, you're going to reduce probably 500 calories off the top in the morning. You're going to reduce 500 to 1,000 calories of snacking at night, and you're going to be in a caloric deficit. It's fairly hard, especially if you combine that with eating whole foods. It's pretty hard to overeat at 1 or 2 meals if you're eating meat and a salad, whatever that looks like. In terms of type, I think it's heavily culturally influenced and culturally, religiously, whatever that looks like. But again, whatever, like I think Lane Norton says it best, the best diet is the one you stick to. So if you really like cooking meat and eating meat and you've got good sourced meat and that's like what you want to do, it can be a very, very effective, like carnivore or mostly meat-based diets can be extremely effective in reducing calories. It's probably not going to mean great workouts, but you supplement that with a bit of fruit before the workout, whatever that looks like. But yeah, these are tools to restrict your calories, and whatever one works for you is probably the best one to do. When people say eat healthy because of longevity, because of feeling better, whatever it is, almost all of the benefits come from reducing body fat, which can only come from a caloric restriction. So if you reduce body fat so you don't have a bunch of excess, your health markers improve a ton, your longevity markers, health span, all that improves. It's just about restricting calories in the most sustainable way for you. That's my opinion.
Love it. You really no, it's fantastic.
Yeah, I think you explained that really well. I'm not sure I really have anything to add on that. I guess I can share kind of my personal experience with that. I've tried intermittent fasting and all sorts of things like that in the past, and with my training and just the volume of running I do, I just found I can't do it. I'll go a few hours and just get so hangry, and I give in. And so I guess from an ultra runner's perspective, I'm trying to basically eat as much as I can all the time. Like I'm fueling my training. And so, I mean, I do try to eat like healthy, like kind of like you were talking about, but really it's really just about getting enough protein, carbs, fat, just getting calories in consistently.
Any way you can, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, if you don't eat enough, you're probably going to end up with some sort of injury.
I think Nick Bear said famously, once you train fed, you'll never train fasted.
Yes.
And
Dude,
it's so true. Like the most dramatic of that is like going for a 2-hour plus run or 2-hour plus bike ride and not fueling during it.
Yeah.
And you'll bonk, you'll hit a wall. I felt it on a bike ride in my basement. I was watching a movie biking I just want to go for a 2-hour bike. And at 90 minutes in, like my blood sugar plummeted. I felt like crazy. And then I took a gel and was back within about 10 minutes and could get through. But I had never really felt that wall before because I'd only done those efforts while fueling or heavily fueled before, whatever. It was in the morning and it was nuts. But it's very true as like there's differences between fueling your training for performance and some of that too, like some events you want a little more body fat than others you want less. Sometimes if you're running marathons and you're coming from a hybrid or CrossFit background, you actually want to restrict your diet to lose muscle, unfortunately, but you're going to perform better if you are lighter, and that's just the way it goes. So yeah, I think again, an extreme case in Ryan's case, but
Mhm.
it's good to talk about because what I always have, even talking to my dad, he's a physician, just growing up, it was always food is fuel. And you try and hit your protein goals, and your carbs are based on the activity levels yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And you just kind of try and dial that in. If you've got a big hockey game coming up, fuel a little more carbs. Protein, doesn't matter what you're doing, stays the same. Obviously, really active, more protein. But yeah, I think people just need to keep it simple and do what sticks for you.
Yeah. There are two things going off that. I did a fasted run this morning, and most of my runs I'm fueling, eating before, and it was miserable. Like I was just like, usually I feel so good on the runs, and this one I was just like, my stomach was literally growling 20 minutes in, and I ended up doing like an hour 15 or something. But yeah, it's not as enjoyable as taking gels every 20 or 30 minutes or whatever. And then the second thing about, fueling the day before, during, and after, I just heard on the SWAT podcast, which is David and Megan Roche, they were talking about after ultras, like 100K, 100 milers, that your caloric burn is doubled for up to a week after that. And so that's something that I knew about after Tahoe, but didn't really do much about. But like, your body's going to start eating itself after these long races. And you gotta make sure that you're fueling after as well, even if you're just resting completely. I thought that was interesting because I probably lost like 8 pounds after Tahoe. So my body just ate all my muscle, like I was 0% body fat for a little bit there. Just pretty wild.
So is that
right.
that's like an extreme afterburn effect? Like just your body's repairing.
Yeah, it's catching up on all.
So much
Yeah,
damage.
right. Because it's basically impossible to match the calories that you're gonna burn during these events. You can try, you can get pretty close, but yeah, afterwards your body's just repairing.
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to ask the same question as Jerry in regards to kind of like the catch up. And I would imagine that would take place too. It's something that's not as extreme as an ultra. I could see that happening with like a marathon training because you're putting in still. I mean, I can't quote exactly, but I'm sure 70 miles a week on average in terms of, I mean, I'm sure that's probably not, in that range. So I'm sure that the body probably does some sort of similar action with those shorter distances too. So that's really interesting though.
Yeah.
That's some interesting stuff.
Just monitoring heart rate after, like some people resting heart rates like 92 for a week or so after an ultra.
Yeah.
Trying to catch up.
Right.
No, definitely. That's really interesting, and I guess somewhat of a benefit, I guess, if you're trying to lose weight, you can lose a couple pounds just by the body catching up on itself. But again, it's such an extreme example. That is pretty crazy. I love it though. I always love these stories. From the coaching aspect of things, I will say that the hardest of the three types, and again, thank you, Jay, for the question. I really appreciate this way to kind of kick it off. I thought this was a really good breakdown. I find that the hardest one is really kind of the type restricted because of the personal influence. I feel like if you put a system in place and tell someone you only can eat between this hour and this hour, depending on how bad the person wants it, they're going to pretty well be in line with that. Same thing as calories in, calories out. Again, if we're talking strictly an energy balance and you put numbers out there for people to follow, I find that people can, for the most part, kind of fit into it once you get the groove. It's kind of finding what foods are going to find their way into this plan. And that's kind of a tricky part for some people because there are restrictions or there are, preferences. And I think that preferences are really real when it comes to adherence to diet. And going back to what Jerry said and what Lane Norton has said, the best diet is the one that you can stick to. And that's so true. And really that's that's kind of the key to success with that.
Yeah,
So
I think
Jay,
one hack too before we skip is
yep.
if you want to do a type, but you don't necessarily want to commit to carnivore or plant-based or whatever, the practical way around that is just eat a really similar diet every day, every week. Just eat the same foods. So one, like my wife and I just always have a bagged salad in the fridge or 3, and lunch, okay, grill up chicken and it's a bagged salad. Tomorrow, the leftover chicken, bagged salad. It's just like keep it simple, do the same things, have like instead of making sandwiches and things, make tacos, just reduce the carbs a bit if you're worried about calories that way. Just keep it simple, stick to it. It doesn't have to be like the type often works because it's restrictive when you are out and about. So you skip the snacks at the party because there aren't any keto or whatever.
Yeah, good point.
Also, before we skip, we didn't mention keto. I would just be extremely careful with keto. In terms of it can get away from you calorically.
Yep.
I think it can be really interesting if you have a real disease you're fighting and you want to be on a ketone-based energy source and things like that. It's just often when people talk to me about doing keto or they have questions on LinkedIn, sending me questions about keto, they're treating it more like just a high protein, low carb diet. Whereas keto is not that high protein. It's really high fat. Like a lean steak is not keto. So you got to add coconut oil or butter or something to that. So I would just be careful with that. If you're trying to process ketones, too much protein is going to kick you into gluconeogenesis, and you're going to be just processing carbs like normal.
Yeah. Keto is a tough one. I agree. To stay in ketosis takes quite a bit of work and a delicate balance that people, I don't think, realize how delicate it can be. And again, with any sort of, and you made a good point, like any sort of like disease pathway, that's what starts to get, in my opinion, that's where things with nutrition start to like tumble and spiral, is when we just say all encompassing things like everybody should do X, Y, Z. No. That is not the case. That's not with this. That is not with anything. There should be. It's not 100% all inclusive for anybody. And I believe that's another important thing, is to know that there are going to be differences to look out for, especially when it comes to a lot of these diet lifestyles that have a lot of push. I mean, keto's got a lot of push. Carnivore's got a lot of push from a lot of notable, especially like Instagram and other networks like that seem to have a lot more of kind of like the carnivore presence out there. So again, it's about, using your brain and understanding if there are contraindications to simply just not do those things, and know that there are 1,000 ways to skin a cat, and we're going to find those. So excellent point. Love it. Kind of to bounce off of that, since we started going down that route in terms of like, your energy needs for your training. So shout out to Matt Collins on Ryan's post the other day, brought up looking into specifically kind of like running nutrition, basing it around your race day, your prep leading into it. And I believe the man that can really take this one off is Ryan. So Ryan, let's how do you what's your nutrition look like going into a race, man?
For sure. So I think he also wanted to know about kind of the evolution of my nutrition as well. So I would say, well, when most people start running, they're kind of afraid of gels because you kind of hear the nightmare stories of shitting yourself on a run or something. But so I basically, some races like half marathons, even early on, I would take no gels. I would just, take water basically, and the occasional electrolytes. But I think I guess historically it's been like 40 to 60 grams of carbs an hour for races. And that's like where I would say to start. And some gels are probably 30 or 40 grams of carbs. So that would be like basically one an hour or one every like 30 minutes or something. But there's been a lot of new data coming out showing that higher carb is better for a lot of people. And so I'm kind of pushing like I would say 80 to 120 grams of carbs an hour for my races. Yeah, which is a lot. I mean, it's basically like 3 gels or so an hour. And that's definitely something that you have to train. So basically, most runs over, I would say over an hour. Yeah, but about over an hour if I'm zone 2 or above heart rate. I'm taking gels and training my gut essentially. The occasional like zone 1 super easy run, like this morning, I did fasted. I hated it, but I do think there's a place for it potentially. Especially maybe for female athletes. Just because females can sometimes tend to have or be more prone to like bone injuries. And so I would say if you're ever on the fence, it's better to fuel. I've had a bone injury myself, and maybe that was from under fueling. But yeah, so I basically take a gel every 20-ish minutes. I've been taking a lot of caffeine. So like for this 100K race that I have in week and a half, my plan is to take a gel every 20 minutes and a caffeinated gel every 2 hours or so. And so that's 100 milligrams caffeine. I'm hoping to finish the race under 12 hours. So that'll be like 600 milligrams of caffeine and 3
Sign me up.
Yeah.
You already got really excited when you mentioned how much caffeine.
I love the taste of the gels I have. So I'm like, I struggle to not take 2 every 30 minutes, 3. Like I love the taste. Tastes like marshmallows to me.
Which brand?
Morton.
Nice. You like the Jello consistency?
I do. I
Interesting.
feel like I tried a honey one. I don't know if you've seen the honey.
Like the honey stinger or something.
Some Red River honey or something like that. It kind of went viral a bit, but it could just be Canadian. But it was bad. Like it was just so much volume and just sticky. I did not like it. But the Morton ones, I feel like they kind of coat my mouth enough with the consistency that it like solves my like dry palate and thirst in the moment too.
Interesting.
Because I never run with water, so I'll just have.
You never run with water?
No.
Wow.
I don't have like I'm not running more than 30K though either. So
yeah. I mean, dude, I get so thirsty on runs. I bring water even on like a 30-minute run. And maybe
well, I guess to be fair, most of what I do is like for high rocks right now will be like a 2K warm up, 10 by 1K at a fast pace, 60 seconds standing rest between, and that'll be on the treadmill that I'll drink Gatorade during.
Yeah.
Or water or whatever, liquid IV, something like that. So in like 3 of my runs a week, I am drinking water during it because it's on the treadmill. But if I prefer like nothing on me. I have like a ton, like one of those mini skin tight fanny packs for my phone just for Strava, and then and music, and I just prefer that. I don't want anything on in my pockets or anything.
Do you take electrolytes during?
No, not like if I was to go for like a 16K run in the country, no.
Yeah.
Probably should, but
yeah.
I should put like a little mailbox on my route that just has some stuff in it or a cooler.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, I did have you seen those electrolyte tests? You like put a patch, I think Nick's biosensor is what's called. Basically, it tracks your electrolyte loss throughout a run.
Yeah. So funny story. So I work at En route. Our chief science officer she was a PhD down at Gatorade, and I'm pretty sure like helped co-develop when they came out with that, and
Oh, really?
because Gatorade came out with a patch thing. Yeah, she was talking about that like a couple weeks ago. Yeah, side note.
Nice. Yeah, I tried it. I did it on 3 separate times. One of them was on the treadmill when I did like the heat suit session. So I had the heat on 84, the sauna on with the door open, and I think I was in like uphill treadmill or something. But over an hour, I lost 1,700 milligrams of sodium, which is like extreme. I was wringing out my clothes after. So that's on the extreme end. And I did it 2 other times just in normal weather, or maybe one was on the treadmill, one was outside, and it was like around 1,000 and then 800. And so I put myself right around 1,000
I
milligrams.
feel like so. Yeah, I feel like when I'm wringing out my shorts and stuff, and like a summer day in the garage, 14, 16K runs, I'm probably around 1,000 then.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So during races, like that's what I try to match, basically.
I do sweat, or I at least feel like I sweat so much more, and I think I do sweat so much more in the garage sessions than outside. Same pace, no matter what. It's just stagnant air, humid, no breeze, nothing drying off you the whole time. You just leak in the garage. I love it. That's why I prefer the garage.
Jerry loves leaking. Absolutely.
I do. Leaking oil.
Leaking away.
Jason, what about you? What's your during run nutrition?
I base it off of how many, probably like every 5K I have to run, I'll take a gel. That's kind of like my rough, like if I'm just doing like a Saturday long run, it's 12 miles. I'll say like technically I know it's a little over 5Ks or whatever it is, but I'll say that's probably be 4 gels, 3 to 4 gels. I have found that during runs I'm having success too about that every 20 to 25 minute time frame, getting myself adjusted to, I'm hitting about 90 grams an hour in terms of like more like the longer races and the longer runs. I'm finding that's been really successful. And another thing that I've really enjoyed and I've been doing much more, I'm trying to be more aware of, is like you were noting, like the sodium loss. I get my electrolyte drink in immediately when I come in. Like it's the first thing I do. I go to the kitchen, I got 1 packet in, 20 ounces of water or whatever it ends up being. I'm trying to get that thing down to at least get anywhere from 500 to 1,000 milligrams of sodium back in as quick as possible. I find that like my recovery tends to be quicker if I get those electrolytes in quicker. And I was actually going to ask you, have you noticed when you do the electrolyte supplement, whether it's during the run or after, do you find that the effects, are quick, the quicker you're able to get to it?
Well, I usually drink electrolytes, well, really on almost every run. So I guess I don't really have a good control there, but I don't know. I also take a recovery shake. So love Athletic Brewing, love it. So I used to take like just the whey protein after my runs, but I've been trying this recovery shake that has like, I think it's 30 grams of carbs and then 20 grams of protein. So actually hitting just more carbs immediately after run, like 30 minutes after. I've also been experimenting with ketone IQ. I don't know. I feel like I'm trying so many new things, and we'll kind of get into supplements, but it's kind of hard to know exactly what is doing what.
Yeah, I'm kind of similar in that I don't know if I notice quicker recovery or anything. I notice when I don't take them, I feel like crap. Like you just feel dehydrated, like your brain's operating slowly, when usually if I'm fueled and stuff proper after a run, I feel fantastic. So I guess that would be the marker of whether it's working or not.
Yeah,
Awesome.
agreed.
Oh yeah. So similar. We're all kind of there. Electrolytes for the win. Got to shout out to Sodium for kicking some ass. Awesome. Hell yeah, man. No, I mean, I think that, and Ryan, I got to attribute it to you, man, a lot in terms of the, I got a lot of influence on the carb loading from you, from the gels. I was never really a gel fan, prior to kind of getting back into running last year and getting more competitive with it. So I appreciate that. Because it kind of sent me down like a little rabbit hole where I learned more about the specifics regarding like race day, intra workout stuff with running, because I came from so much of a strength training background that I was like, why am I, I'm getting my ass kicked on some of these long runs. And then it was like, dumbass, like the answer's right here. It's like sugar, glucose, easy to absorb right there. But, thanks, man. I appreciate the, your experiences that you've shared have definitely helped me. So thank you.
That's awesome. What kind of brand are you using?
I'm a Honey Stinger guy, actually. I love Honey Stinger. Pomegranate, it hits, man. It hits. I like it. I'm kind of like Jerry. I like the taste of them. They're a bit sweet. Like if I was just like literally sitting here having, I'd probably be like, it's a bit sweet. But there's far worse things out there to have than the gels. But I'm a Honey Stinger guy. I've had goo gels before. I like those. I think they made a cherry lime one. I was like, so freaking good. And I'm trying to think, there's like a couple others. I've heard of like Morton's. I know that one's been getting some traction. And then I'm trying to think of the one that is Morton's the one that you've been doing too, Ryan? Or is there another one that you've been pumping out?
I mean, I do use Morton occasionally. I'm not a huge fan of the Jell-O consistency, honestly. Like when I take a gel, I do want it to taste okay, but I'm more like slurping it, like shooting it past my palate, basically. And the reason for that is in these long races, you can get sick of the taste of these gels. And like you can start basically spitting it back up, like having just a reflux. But so I like more of a not straight liquid, but just more liquidy consistency, I guess. So the two I've been using mostly are Precision Fuel and Hydration.
Okay.
They have a really good caffeinated. That's the main caffeine source I use for the gels. And then Science and Sport, Beta Fuel. So those are 40 grams of carbs. Those taste really good.
Okay.
I like the consistency of them. But I feel like I've played around with basically all the brands. If you go on The Feed is a really good website that basically has like every brand that you could imagine, and you can load up your cart with like one each or whatever if you want to try some. I basically buy like all my nutrition from that website.
What's The Feed? It's called?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll drop a thing in a banner over here for the gels. You're saying?
Yeah, for gels, I buy like my electrolytes there. Element Precision has a good electrolyte mix that has 1,500 milligrams of sodium, so I like that. Yeah, they got everything. That's where I buy my like protein as well and recovery mix.
Yeah. All right. Well, I always like to help, so let's throw that banner down there, feed.com for gels, electrolytes, and other hydration needs.
Go.
Lovely commercial right there. Absolutely fantastic.
We need a code.
I know, right? Yeah, we need codes. We need man, what the hell? We need some sponsorships. So anybody willing to sponsor, happy to throw your logo up here. So awesome, man. I love the breakdown. I love the recommendations. I love how we all have a different one that we use, and they all get us to the same place and of kicking some ass. So hell yeah, man. I love the pulling the curtain back on some of that nutrition stuff. So love it. I know Jerry loves his science and his data, and I think we're getting closer to that with some creatine talk, man. The hot supplement, man. I feel like creatine is on a resurgence. Creatine was huge I remember back in like the late '90s when it was like Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa were doing the home run, had the home run chase there in the late '90s over the summer, and it started coming out that Mark McGuire was, using, I think it was Andro as one of the main anabolic compounds, but they kind of lumped in creatine with all of these things he took, and it started to get a bad rap. But over the last 25 years, it seems that creatine has made a really carved out its own identity here. There's thousands of studies on it, in terms of the efficiency of what it does, and with strength training and all of that. So I think creatine is one of those supplements that, I mean, given other contraindications, in terms of like, kidney disease or anything like that, you might be looking out for. Otherwise, I mean, creatine's got a pretty good rap. Jerry, you got some science, man. You got some stuff to throw on some creatine, phosphocreatine cycles.
Yeah, like to keep it informative and not super boring. I think the question with creatine is my one thing about it. So been studied forever. I think everyone listening to this took it in high school thinking they were doing steroids. It's a very safe supplement, and most importantly, it's extremely cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You're not patenting creatine monohydrate. So the fact there is a resurgence is luckily not from too many bad actors. I think there are, if you look on a shelf, every supplement company now is coming out with their own creatine, and they're trying to create their own version of it. Super creatine 1000. It's 100% bioavailable in creatine monohydrate form. So there's no better version of that. Like, you can fully dose after. There used to be like cycling. That's kind of old news. Just dose up for the first few days, and then your muscles are saturated, and you can just kind of maintain full saturation, taking about 5 grams a day. For performance, if you want cognitive benefits, seems to be more like 15, 20, 30 grams a day. One thing that's really interesting is low sleep. Taking a high dose, like 20 or 30 grams, after your coffee when you have lack of sleep, shows significant cognitive benefits. Memory recall, word recall, all that's sort of fast decision making. The other side of it is, I think the resurgence is also stemmed by a few of these studies. There's been a few studies that have came out on Alzheimer's patients showing very good benefit. There's been studies showing dosing with creatine, increasing cross-sectional muscle size in people not resistance training. So clinically significant increase in muscle mass from not resistance training for the time period of the study. I think it may 8 to 12 weeks, which is pretty interesting. I think the fear in the past was that it was causing bloating. Some people can get digestive disruption from it, like sore stomachs. So if you're looking for that, like my mom's finally on it. Postmenopausal woman can see significant benefits, reduction in Alzheimer's risk, dementia, all that sort of stuff, plus retain muscle mass. She's an athlete in her own right, increased performance. So I would say start at 3 grams and work your way up if you want to. And I wouldn't be worried if you want to hit 20 grams a day, or when you're tired, whatever that looks like. I personally just kind of stick to 5 grams a day. I probably, if I take en route supplements, there's 1.5 grams in each dose. So I might take 2 of those, and then I'll also have a protein shake at the end of the day. So maybe I'm at 8 that day. But because it's, it's prominent in red meat, so don't worry about counting it to a T. I would just take enough, take a big scoop every day in your protein shake. Final thing I would say is creatine monohydrate is 1 hydrate, mono meaning 1. When you mix it in water, you don't have an eternal lifespan of that molecule. It's gonna dissolve. It's gonna bind with other hydrogen ion. All that. So it's going to become less effective, less bioavailable. So I would stay clear of those drinks on the shelf that have creatine in them. If it says creatine monohydrate on the drink and it could be on the shelf for 6 months, I just don't consider it a dose for the day. I don't think there's any risk in it, but I don't think it's going to be an effective dose. I know there's some like Fit8 RX has that. There's a few. But yeah, I would say I just mix it in water and a scoop of protein, stir it up and chug it at night. Don't let it sit there for too long.
So you said that I can sit on the couch, take creatine, and get jacked.
Studies show you can increase cross-sectional muscle size.
I like that.
There was an increase in strength, I believe, in that study as well. I can try and find it and link it or something in the YouTube, but there was an increase in strength, which is expected because the simple science behind it, if you're like trying to think of it, is ATP is the energy molecule that initiates the reaction for the actin and the filaments in your muscles to be doing their things. Mm-hmm. So for the myosin and actin to contract takes ATP, and for it to relax takes ATP, not just contract. So both require an ATP molecule, and creatine is kind of that building block for ATP. So the way I think about it is if you've got coins that are ATPs, you're just stacking the coins higher. So whether that cross-sectional size is from the water that it brings into the muscle as well, which is people think is that, oh, you're just getting bloated, you look soft, all that. That could be a part of the increase in muscle size. But again, it increases strength. I was always told it's kind of like, and you can, if you're going to failure or you're going near failure in your resistance training, those last couple reps is where you might feel a difference. And maybe you don't feel it, but if you look at your journal of workouts later on, you'll see that 225 for 8 reps was an RPE 9. Now 225 for 8 reps feels like an RPE 7 or 8. That's the difference we're looking at, but that is literally the difference that strength training is trying to do, is those last few reps close to failure is where all the growth comes from. So that's just, people who say they don't feel a difference or anything. Well, there's not many studies on creatine that find no difference.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And, to kind of add on to how creatine actually works, I did love that you brought up about it not being the best in terms of being soluble. It absolutely true. Get that in as quickly as possible if you do dissolve it in water. Like you say, the breakdown or the conversion from creatine to creatinine does happen fairly quickly. So that is good to be aware of if you do take it in that sort of form. And like you said, if it's on the shelf and if it is in liquid form, not working out so well. And pretty much, just to kind of piggyback off what creatine actually does, and I love geeking out on science, and I can't help myself. I have to. But pretty much like Jerry was saying, that you use ATP as part of your energy cycle. ATP is most readily your energy cycle for short explosive movements such as weightlifting, sprinting, and other forms of high velocity activities like that. Jumping could be also included. So what happens is that yes, you use an ATP molecule during the ATP creatine phosphate cycle in order to produce this energy. And what happens is the ATP gets used and becomes ADP, adenosine diphosphate. So that creatine phosphate supplementation takes your ADP, makes it become ATP, makes it more readily available. As Jerry said, you stack the coins, you have more to use in terms of this short bout of physical activity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how creatine works. So yes, it is not a steroid. It is very safe. I really actually very interesting, man. If you couldn't get that study for me about the sleep, I really like that. If you happen to find that one, that was a really good point. Have you found, and the Alzheimer's one is interesting too. Are you finding, what did you find in the Alzheimer's? And pardon me if you did say it, I'm trying to jot notes down. What did they say specifically with that?
In the Alzheimer's one?
Yes. Yeah.
So it was a fairly small pilot study, but it was 20 grams a day for 8 weeks, 20 patients.
Mm-hmm.
They had 19 participants. So they were measuring creatine monohydrate in the brain. I'm just trying to see here. And in blood serum levels. So it increased the total brain creatine levels.
Mm-hmm.
And it was associated with improved cognition.
Okay.
There was no, I think it also said there was no side effects of note, and they were taking 20 grams a day for 8 weeks.
Okay. And I'm sorry to do 21 questions. On the cognition, was it based on like some scores, like some recall tests, did they say, or is it just say like improved cognition?
It was list sorting, oral reading, and flanker tests.
Okay. That's excellent. Love to hear that.
And then I'm just going to link, I'll drop this one in the chat, but that's the study for the single dose creatine improves cognitive performance and induces changes in cerebral high energy phosphates during sleep deprivation.
Okay.
That was a cool one. So that's, they did scans and everything. They did placebo, creatine induced changes in a bunch of acronyms, prevents a drop in pH level, improves cognitive performance and processing speed in the sleep deprived individuals taking a high singular dose.
That's really neat. I love hearing that. I work with seniors every day, so anything promising like that is awesome. I believe that they deserve a good quality of life, especially end of life care. So if there's anything that I can pass along, I love knowing that. So that way, if there's any sort of initiatives that we can take to benefit, I'm all for it, man. Thank you for sharing that. And I put the address up there. It's also in the comments. Thank you, Jerry, for dropping that. Just in case anybody's interested in learning more about the creatine effects on Alzheimer's. So thank you for that, man. A little side aside with that. Ryan, do you have any experience with creatine supplementation?
I do. Yeah, like Jerry was saying, I took it in high school and I got jacked. But yeah, no. And then I kind of stopped taking it over during college for a while. And then probably 3 years ago or so, when I started getting into running more, I started taking it. I take 5 grams a day. And what I found that's most helpful for running is just the ability to keep my muscle. Before I was taking it, I noticed that as my mileage increased, I just started losing all my muscle, and you need some muscle to stay injury free. And so I think that's helped with that. Yeah, I feel like I also gain muscle like very easily. Like even if it's just body weight stuff. In March, we were doing this push up and pull up challenge, and I gained a lot of muscle. Granted, I wasn't running, but I definitely.
You were doing 1,000 reps a day.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just assumed that you needed like to go to the gym and lift heavy to.
Your body was probably like, "We're not running. Let's go, baby."
Yeah.
Let's go.
All that nutrition went to getting big instead. But yeah, so that's my experience. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I admit, and I'm going to get to that in a second when we go on more of like our kind of a way to kind of bring this all together full circle with our supplementation talk. Definitely, I have noticed the effects of creatine. I'm a 5 gram a day kind of guy, and that's why I wanted to bring up this question. Andrew Escobar, my man. Shout out to Andrew in Florida. Love that guy. Any benefits to increasing creatine intake for day of performance? Taking creatine 20 grams for a few days prior, you're already taking 5 to 10. I'll just say that. I'm sorry.
I would be cautious. So only advice I'd have, I don't think there's a risk. And if you're low on sleep, probably beneficial. But if you're already taking 10 a day for a consistent amount of time, I'd say you're probably fully saturated and you're kind of good to go. I don't know if doubling it. If you haven't been doubling it, maybe you're going to screw up your gut a bit if you haven't built up to that. So I would say if you're consistently taking 5 to 10, I think Ryan's probably both of you guys, because you guys do races, it's hard to not change things up on race day, but really should try and be eating familiar foods and doing familiar routines.
Yep.
I'm guilty of I'll make eggs and a bagel breakfast sandwich like I have this morning for breakfast. And then I'll have that every day for 100 days. And then I have a half marathon and I'm going to go, oats, honey, berries. It's like, I should have been eating that every morning, but I'm going to carb load this morning. And then I feel like crap and don't feel like I do every other training day. So that'd be my one caveat to
there. Yeah. I agree. I feel that there's like the kind of like the point of diminishing returns, I guess. It's got to get to a point where I guess saturation or whatever level you want to call it. I think after that, unless it's specifically for cognitive function, like the sleep or Alzheimer's or some sort of other brain activity, I think that like around that 5 to 10 is a good sweet spot. I think that's an easy dose for most people to take. That's easily tolerable. And like you were saying, you kind of, as much as we want to be like race day is different, or like, or maybe not race day, or like a High Rocks event day is different, but really want to keep it similar. You don't want to upset too many things going into day of. So I like that. Synopsis. I agree.
All right.
Cool. All right, Andrew, appreciate the question, man. Thank you. And thank you everyone that's been kind of hanging on so far. Thank you. We appreciate y'all passing through. And I guess to kind of bring this all together is just kind of how supplements really should work. I'm of the assumption, or not the assumption, I am of the camp of, I think there's a ton of things that you can do to optimize your health, your wellness, your strength, your endurance, yada, 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 without necessarily having to go down the route of supplements. I feel that it's one of those majoring in the minors kind of things if it's not implemented right. I feel that everybody wants it to be like, if I take this stack of 5-10 things all at once, it's going to give me the, these results X, Y, and Z. But what people don't realize is that the reason why people benefit from supplementation is because they've already nailed the foundation. They're sleeping well. They're eating well. They're hitting the gym consistently. Your cardio is up to task. You're hitting like 90%. You're in that A range where you're consistent. That is where people, I feel, get the most benefit from supplements, is when you really have tuned it in and you are looking for maybe that RP9 to go down to 7 or 8.
Yeah, I think I've posted before on this because I think it's a great point of a guy skipping 10 steps to try and reach the top step, and it's like toe spacers, cold plunge, zinc supplements, but skipping exercise, sleep, eating well. It's like if you just sleep, have a good BMI, not how you calculate BMI, but an actual like a low body fat percentage. You resistance train, you sweat every now and then, and you're eating mostly whole foods. You're 99%. You're better off than 99% of the world. I think the supplements come in and like if I'm not training for something, the only supplement I'm taking is probably vitamin D and whey protein every now and then. If I've got goals and I'm training for something, now I'm looking at making sure I'm hitting my creatine, making sure I'm hitting my protein goals, making sure I'm supplementing with, vitamin D, calcium, all those different things. But yeah, I think it's like you said, it's maybe 90 to 99%. That's where it's going to get you. Also, they're called supplements. They're not lifestyle replacements. Yeah. I'm not recommending you go get lack of sleep because you can take 20 grams of creatine.
Right. Wait, yes, this is not medical advice, everybody passing through, not medical advice. So yeah, please, for the love of God.
Yeah.
Ryan, what's your thoughts, man?
I think you guys nailed it. I agree. I would say out of everything we talked about so far, sleep is the number one thing that I focus on. So I try to get like 7 to 9 hours of sleep, ideally 8 to 9. And I definitely notice if my recovery sucks if I get less than 7. Having said that, I take a lot of supplements. And I guess that's partially because I'm basically always training for something. Like I always have something. So I'm trying to like optimize that 1% basically to achieve peak performance or however you want to call it. So I like it. I don't know if I can really feel a difference with any of it really. I definitely think like the protein and the carbs after workouts are important.
Have you been doing it for too long though, at too high of a level, consistent to like you don't have a placebo or another camp to compare it to? I feel like I'm in a similar boat of I don't know if I feel like the way the things I do make me feel better because I'm not willing to not do them.
Right. I think so. And I mean, I always feel pretty good. So it's just hard to, I don't know. I don't really.
I would imagine if you kept your volume and you stopped all supplementation, you would probably feel horrific and get injured quickly.
And I'm not willing to take that risk. So
because it's also for when you're in an elite. So if you're an athlete or you're training for something, supplements can sometimes be the only real way to like hit your macros too. Like to hit the protein carbs goal, if you're not taking a gel, taking whey protein, like it's just you got to eat too much. It's just not like a good idea. It's possible the same way doing it as a vegan might be possible if you are really, really intentional with your supplementation and things, but it's just supplements can be easy fallbacks and, top you up on the day.
Yeah, I do think that's a good point. I mean, maybe some days you don't eat you don't eat any vegetables or something. So like having something like I'm taking Sapien now, but you could take AG1 or something like that. It just kind of covers your bases if you maybe didn't hit what you were supposed to that day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
last thing I want to touch on is something I think we should hit on is protein. I think it's the most important supplement. We haven't touched too much on it, but I do think some people need a bit of clarity on what we should be getting. So when you look at the store, and this is why like the product that I sell to orthopedic surgeons and stuff works, is because there's so much on the store shelf, and it's so confusing, and trying to figure out what to buy. So people know whey protein concentrate is 30 to 80% protein. So the other things that it has in it is fat and lactose. Whey protein isolate is 90% of protein or higher, with very little fat or lactose. And then there's like whey protein hydrolysate, hydrolysate. It's like a pre-digested form for faster absorption. There's casein, which is a slow digesting protein, which if you were a meathead in high school, you were probably taking before bed so that you were getting your protein and muscle protein synthesis as you slept to delay that release. There's all these. So basically you want a whey protein isolate. And the reason you want whey preferably, unless you are an adamant have to be plant-based, is because what you're trying to do is synthesize muscle growth. So muscle protein synthesis gets triggered by a certain amount of leucine. Leucine being the most important amino acid in the whey protein. So that's the molecule you're trying to get when you take a protein supplement is leucine. Because it's going to, if you get 3.2 grams, you are going to turn on the muscle protein synthesis switch and you're going to have muscle growth. If you have plant-based, you're not getting leucine, or you're not getting leucine in very good quantities or anything like that. So you want a protein that is fortified in extra leucine. Or if you are taking a concentrate or something like one of my least favorite proteins on the market is collagen, because people just think it's like, I think it's targeted to women mostly, and they think it's for their hair, skin, anti-wrinkle, nail health, hair health, because that's where collagen is found. And that's what collagen is created from, but it still gets broken down once you digest it into its amino acid forms, and then those go anywhere. Those don't just go back into your skin and your hair. And so that's just, in terms of like leucine content, it's terrible. So if you're trying to maintain muscle or build muscle, or as you age, protein is really important for that. Do not take collagen, or if you are taking it, also take a whey protein isolate, because you need the leucine. If you're taking like a pea protein, whatever, look at it, because it might not have any leucine in it, and then you're basically kind of wasting your money too. Like some companies, like our company, if you do a plant-based, it's got extra leucine in that. So you're still getting the 3.2 grams of leucine, so that you're at least initiating MPS. That's just my little TED talk for today. It's one of my biggest pet peeves is my wife comes home with collagen protein and she's taking the collagen and putting it in my shake. But now I didn't get any leucine for my nighttime shake. It's so frustrating. But
how does she not respect your leucine intake? Jerry, you're gonna have to. I think you're gonna have a sit down, man. There's
just got home from work. I'm gonna go. I'll probably go make a protein shake, and I'll put one of each in there for her.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. I love it. There's always a solution. So absolutely, I think protein supplementation is important. I love everything that you said. To add on to it, I think that, and this is just my opinion, some of the proteinization of America is nuts. Okay. I want to enjoy Lucky Charms or Fruity Pebbles as Lucky Charms and Fruity Pebbles. Okay. I don't want to have Fruity Pebbles that has 30 grams of protein. I don't care. Because if I'm having Fruity Pebbles right then, I don't care about nutrition profile. I care about smiling. Okay. And I think that, like, I understand where it's coming from, and it's good hearted, and we're trying to,
They're
increase
so
protein
expensive.
intake. What's that?
It's so expensive though.
Isn't it though? Like
Like
what the hell?
I looked at one of those, my wife and I at the store, and it was like $30 for a box of cereal. I was like, this is insane.
What is enough enough? It's like I fully support that protein intake is important. And I fully agree that whey protein is, if a supplement source, probably the best one you can do. Case in other situations for overnight. I know sleep protein is something that's come up on LinkedIn recently. Seems to be a good product as well. But yeah, it's just been gotten like, I'll go to the grocery store and I'm looking and I'm like, literally everything's got to get freaking protein in it now. Now cereals, and it's just, I think it's gotten a little much, and I would prefer to see, like, hey, enjoy the cereal when you want to enjoy the cereal, but get the protein from actual sources. And if you're a vegetarian, there's ways to pair different things together to make sure that's as complete as possible. Make sure that you get your brand, the the essential amino acids that are necessary that our body doesn't produce. But I just feel like it's gotten a bit much. It's everywhere.
Have you seen that meme where it's like the guy saying like something like he can't get anything done because by the time he makes sure he gets all his protein, it's bed. Like he wakes up, makes sure he gets all his protein in his bedtime.
I love that.
I feel like that sometimes.
Oh my God, so true, man. Is it important? Absolutely. Do we have to eat, jacked Lucky Charms? No, I don't have any desire to. One thing I will add is I also think too that sometimes the amount can get skewed. And that's a number that, like, it feels like you ask 10 people, it's 10 different answers. I don't think it has to be any ridiculous sort of number. I know that 0.8 to like 1 gram per kilogram or one, per pound has been thrown out there. I tend to coach, kind of like that, if anywhere from 0.8 to 1 per pound, depending on body weight and if it needs to be adjusted at any point. But I feel some of the extreme examples, it's kind of like the creatine. You reach kind of like the point of diminishing returns. It's like you get to where you need to go, and then the rest is either, waste or, some sort of byproduct. But protein, super important for, obviously for muscular health, and which in turn helps us with longevity, for muscle strength, and being able to carry on our day. Ryan, you got any thoughts on the protein, man? You got any random protein encounters of the grocery kind or anything like that?
Well, I've got a confession. I take collagen.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed now.
We have.
What did you say? You take what?
I take collagen.
Not a collagen guy. Oh no.
Is your thought process knee health?
Yeah, tendon, ligament, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Does it do anything for that? I thought it did, but
I have not been convinced.
Okay.
But
Amazon tells me it does.
I know. That's something we task my chief science officer, Sarah, who would love to look into that. I don't think there's been any studies looking at collagen. I think some of the studies that they're basing it on was collagen protein supplementation versus placebo or just no supplement for hair thickness and thickness of nails. Which showed a result, but it didn't also compare to whey protein isolate supplementation, which would have just been also a bunch of amino acids in a better quality going into the body, and maybe that would also improve.
Yeah.
But I also, like, you're on a ton of things, and that's like you're an extreme case. So it's like, okay, if $40 tub of protein reduces my joint damage from running 7,000 miles a year, then it's probably worth it. Because I mean, as long as you're also taking your whey protein, like that's the thing.
I mean, I take it in pills, though, so it's not even like a part of.
Okay, yeah, then that's
I have noticed too, like a lot of ultra runners, they do these long races, their toenails will literally fall off. I haven't lost it yet, so maybe there's something there.
That's actually wild. You didn't lose one at Tahoe.
Wow, yeah.
Like downhill too.
Yeah, there's a lot of downhill. I mean, my toenails are disgusting, but I still have them.
That's crazy.
Obviously, didn't help my hair. Besides that didn't work. But
I lost one of mine on that during a half marathon.
You lost a toenail during a half.
I lost a toenail during a half. Like stubbed it on going downhill.
Oh shit!
We got Chris Jones is in solidarity with Ryan. He put it in his coffee. So Chris Jones, shout out Oklahoma. Chris, thank you. Appreciate it.
That's man. Does Chris also put butter in his coffee, or is that where he draws the line? Because that sounds like a bulletproof coffee mix right there, collagen and butter.
I don't know. Could Chris give us a live answer? I'm keeping a lookout for the comments. I'm looking for here. Come on, Chris. We need to know. Are you a bulletproof coffee kind of guy?
I have had it once. Bulletproof coffee. It was like a $9 coffee. It was delicious, but I don't. I ate butter in my coffee, and then I was not in ketosis for the rest of the day, so it was just more calories. But whatever.
Was it worth it? Hey, as long as it was good, right? So,
you also talked about all those different types of protein. So, I'm learning a lot from you. So thanks, Jerry. But I was just looking at the one that I've been taking, like the whey protein, and it looks like it has all three of those types that you mentioned. Whey protein.
Does it say how many grams of leucine?
No, I don't see it. But it's Optimum Nutrition Gold Standard 100% whey.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the OG.
Optimum, yeah.
That probably has. I mean, I can definitely.
They're a good reputable brand. Optimum's been one of my key cornerstones for protein. Definitely over the years. Chris Jones did Remark. He's a heavy cream guy, but then he followed it up with this one here. He did Bulletproof when it was popular. Loves the trends. Hell yeah, way to go. Love it, Chris. So I guess there you go. I guess there's some collagen use out in the world. So Ryan, you are not alone, man. So hell yeah.
So it has 2.64 grams in a serving. So if it was me, I'd take 2.
Okay.
So I take my own supplement. Like I have free samples from Honored at my house, so I'll often eat that, which is not like you can just buy it off the shelf because it's a medical food, but every dose has 3.2 grams for that reason.
Gotcha.
I would probably at least 1.5, which I do with I take my favorite brand outside of my own would be ATP Labs. A good friend of mine works for them. My best buddy who owns the gym I train at sells it, so it's easy for me to get, but it's also just extremely science-based, very transparent labels and stuff like that. Everything's broken down.
Nice.
So for that, if it's it's under 3 grams, I just do 1.5 scoops.
Okay.
Just at least do 3 grams of leucine each time I try and get protein.
All right, that's good to know. Yeah, because I've been taking it's called GU Recovery Mix. So I've been taking that right after my run. Let me look how much that has. GU Roctane Protein Recovery Mix. So that has 20 grams of protein and 30 grams of carbs. And then most nights recently, I've been taking the 1 scoop of that Optimum Nutrition protein just as a second protein scoop. But
is GU from Tailwind?
They're not, but Tailwind has a similar version, which I've also been considering taking that instead.
Okay, because the Tailwind only has 1 gram per serving. But again, like if you're eating these, you're taking multiple supplements, you're taking multiple sources.
Yeah.
And then for amounts, like Jason was talking about, I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving advice, but if my mom asks me how much protein I should be taking, I would try and hit 1 gram per pound of your body weight. And often you will undershoot it because it's hard sometimes to get that amount, especially if you are in any form of caloric restriction. I would try and hit 1 gram per pound. If you are undershooting it, then at least you're above 1 gram per kilogram. And the big thing, so let's say it's the guidance basement is 1 gram per kilo. If you are getting surgery or doing something like that, like the highest requirement of protein for someone would be if they're like a burn victim. So if you get a bad burn and you're in the ICU, like I think the requirement is like 2.5 grams per pound of body weight or something like that. It's high.
Really?
But if you are an orthopedic surgery, like I'm going to be getting shoulder surgery in November, December. For that, the kind of context is 10 days before and 10 days after ish. You want like basically double the recommended dose of a normal person. So studies show like if you typically get 1 gram per kilo, you require about 2 grams per kilo. I think it's like 0.8 per pound. You need 1.6 per pound is the guideline, but it's so it's essentially double for that recovery period. And when you do supplement that, even 2 years out, studies show better surgical outcomes, range of motion, pain scores, like right after 30-90 and 2 years, they see difference in patients that's supplemented with high protein for that perioperative period. So that is probably something similar to the damage Ryan does during an ultra.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably honestly not even maybe that close. Like the ultra is probably worse. Mm-hmm. So you're probably like your physical body is probably doubling its requirement for protein.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think of blisters. Blisters are burns. Like just the amount of damage overall on your body that has happened is pretty crazy.
That's wild. I think you're completely right.
Yeah,
you're making me want to go get a protein shake right now.
That's right. That's what the show should do. Make you want to get up, have some protein, and get it on, man.
Oh yeah, I also got Chris Jones did do Bulletproof for a few weeks when it first got popular. Love it.
Yeah.
I did get some flack from my mother and other people about like probably 4 or 5 people about my cheat snack being rice cakes.
Nice.
I need to clarify.
Oh God.
That I will eat cookies. I will eat ice cream. I will indulge chips. I'll do these things. I've been known to do these things at a dinner party. Right now, and for like that start of the year, I gave up sugar from all sources. It was brutal. Now training for ultras and high rocks, my volume's much higher, and I kind of just stick to a snack that's easy to like vary the amount I get. So I cheat with rice cakes based on my training volume. It doesn't mean I don't also scoop a little ice cream or something if I earned it, but it's just
Thanks for coming.
Dynamic. Everything bagel rice cakes. Unreal. And I can share them with my kids. It's perfect.
That's right. The perfect cheat snack. Cheat snack. I love it. I love how you got flack for it too. Good.
Oh yeah.
They should. And I have been
like, how about those cookies the other day? It's like, come on, Mom. Don't out me.
Damn it, Mom. And I have been witness to you having ice cream. I can vouch. Gary does eat ice cream. It was we did have that after the race, so I can vouch he does do that. So
what flavor does he eat?
What'd you have, Jerry, from that truck? I can't remember.
Cookies and cream.
That's a good one. That's a great flavor.
Go to.
What'd you get, Jason?
I got mango sherbet, I think it was. It was wonderful. I loved it.
Very good ice cream.
Yeah. So I mean, after a run, it hit the spot, man. It was so perfect. So I wish every race had ice cream after it. That would be great. So
I'm very much I'm not an ultra athlete, but I am very much enjoy my efforts in the gym, in the kitchen.
Yes.
I joke all the time that I have a food addiction and body dysmorphia that disguises itself as a fitness addiction.
Yeah.
That's how it presents,
Yeah.
but it's for food.
Yeah.
So on this episode of Fitness Anonymous, we have yeah, man. The addiction is real.
Oh yeah.
It really is.
100%.
Well, I think we crushed it. I think we hit a ton of nutritional milestones. We definitely got into the weeds on a couple things. Got some good questions. I was happy to see some people chime in, and I thought we put a lot of good stuff out there. So if you guys, anybody that passed through, thank you. Always appreciated for taking the time out of your evening to check us out. This will be up as a replay. We are streaming this out right now on YouTube as well. I got to go check that out after we get off the call, see how that went. And we will also be hosting these on audio only on Spotify. We do have the first episode up. I'll have the second one up here probably tomorrow for Spotify, and we'll be getting that out to everybody in case you want to catch up on on your commutes or whatever. That would be great. And to Ryan and Jerry, again, thank you guys for taking the time out of your night to get together with this. I always enjoy talking with you guys. You guys bring in some really good perspectives. I learned from you both, so thank you. And I look forward to doing this again. I know September's kind of busy for all of us, but we'll make something happen. Hopefully next 3 or 4 weeks. We'll keep an eye out on the calendar. We'll let everybody know. And we'll be back again with episode 3 of The Extra Mile.
Sounds good, guys.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in. Looking forward to sitting down, cracking the cans open, and getting to business soon enough. Take care, everybody. Have a good evening.
Thanks,
Cheers.
guys.
Cheers.